member of the Homeland Security Committee, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, what's going on that those two, I almost cursed, men, Wray and Mayorkas, did not show up to testify and speak not only to you, but to the American people?
Well, first of all, let me say January 20th cannot come soon enough.
Amen.
What they claim is that the threats are so serious that they couldn't really discuss them in public. They needed to brief us in a secure setting. And Chairman of the committee, Chairman Peters, apparently rejected that offer. I was chairman of the committee for 6 years. I've been here since 2011. This has been an annual hearing. If there's something so sensitive, we can be briefed in a classified setting. But this is something that they just blew off. And by the way, if the threats are that serious, and I don't doubt that they are, it's because of what they have done. Particularly Secretary Mayorkas, who's pretty well ruled over the open border policy that has let millions of people, some of them terrorists, gang members, cartel members, human traffickers, sex traffickers, they've created this clear and present danger that now they won't even talk to Congress about. It's outrageous.
Well, Senator, on a broader scale, we got a lot of threats abroad that some of which are not that too far away. In Europe, for example, where the Biden administration has been ratcheting up the danger and the threat of the situation by providing Ukraine with very lethal weapons, both landmines and these long-range missiles. And I'm just curious, who do you think is making these decisions? If President Biden is going off to the Amazon and Kamala Harris is out on the beach in Hawaii, who's actually making these very critical decisions about foreign policy right now?
I would say nobody knows. I mean, I think that's been true throughout the Biden administration.
Do you have an idea, though? Forgive me for interrupting, but do you have an idea? Is it Secretary Blinken, perhaps?
Yeah, we really don't know. Is it his chief of staff? Yeah, I don't know. Is it the individuals that turn down his bed at night? Listen, this is a dangerous world, and they are making it more dangerous. I mean, this dangerous escalation, allowing U.S. attack missiles to go into Russia, Putin has obviously drew the line in the sand. He warned us that NATO was off the table, but Biden wouldn't take that off the table, and Putin went ahead and invaded Ukraine. And now Ukraine is largely destroyed. Again, this has been so mishandled, and now on the brink of finally having a responsible president in office, now they launched this escalation, and of course the reaction was Putin launched an intermediate range ballistic missile with MIRV, with multiple warheads on it. Not nuclear tipped, but they had to warn the U.S. Because that's the type of missile that could be mistaken for a nuclear weapon. This is dangerous territory, and for what purpose? Again, the only way this war ends is with a negotiated settlement. Every day that goes by, the result is worse because more Ukraine gets destroyed, more Ukrainians die, more Russian conscripts die. So this war should have ended. Never should have been started, should have ended within weeks when they were negotiating settlement, but Biden blew that up as well.
By the way,
again,
we have some breaking news, Senator.
Get this, Senator John said Bob Casey has conceded. So the recount is ongoing right now. It's expected to end in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania next Wednesday. There are multiple counties who have already finished the recount. But Dave McCormick, Republican, is now, well, the vote still has to get certified, but is now your colleague. Now, he has been at orientation, but Bob Casey, with the help of Mark Elias, the lawyer, was digging in and fighting the fight, as Democrats do in the Commonwealth. But Dave McCormick, the senator, Republican from the Commonwealth.
Look at the difference between that close election in Pennsylvania and the close election in Wisconsin. Now, Eric Hovde wanted all the votes counted, but you didn't see any Republican election commissioners violating the law openly and bragging about it and opening up and counting ballots that were completely illegal, judged by the Supreme Court they were illegal. That's what happened in Democrat-controlled areas in Pennsylvania. It is scandalous.
It is. David, you want to get to this?
Well, of course, Matt Gaetz has withdrawn as the consideration for Attorney General. So there will be somebody. There's been some speculation, by the way, that he might actually be appointed senator by Governor DeSantis. What do you know about that, if anything?
I don't know anything. That was a decision he had to make. I think he was right. He was turning into a distraction, and so I actually appreciate the action he took here. Attorney General is incredibly important. President Trump needs warriors like Matt Gaetz. You know, we need to root out the deep state. This is not going to be an easy fight. This is going to be a pitched battle. So he needs people like Matt Gaetz. I'm going to support the type of people that President Trump wants to appoint. But listen, he obviously was a controversial pick, and I appreciate probably wasn't an easy decision for him, but he probably made the right one.
Yeah.
Do you want to throw out a name of somebody who would be, and I'm using this in not literally, a skull crusher inside the Department of Justice, Senator? Somebody who will go in there and just shake things up and make the confirmation hearing itself really just full scorched earth for the American people.
Well, again, I want a warrior. I don't have particular names in mind. I'll let that up to President Trump and his transition team. But we need fighters. We really do. We don't need people that are going to be cowed by maybe bad press in the media. Again, this is going to be a pitched battle. We need people that are willing to support Trump's agenda and, again, root out the deep state. I've seen the corruption in those agencies. It needs to be fixed.
Senator Ron Johnson, always a pleasure to see you, Senator. Thanks for coming in.
Have a great night.
Appreciate it. You too.